What's up, guys? Back at it at TCGCritique, and hopefully you guys watched our first video about the boneyards. Today we're going to talk about Angeldown. So here we got 4 different mats, 4 different colors, 4 different I guess sub-materials. So this is a construct, but it's misprint. They called it the Burning Legends, which is kind of funny because it's just a misprint. And this is the famous Atlantean that everyone raves about, being like the dark blue, nice Angeldown color. And then over here, oh yeah, this is number 1, by the way, number 1. And over here we have Seraphim, which is the white one, and this is the Lightbringer's Judgment, also number 1. And then over here we have the Angeldown Nephilim. This is the Burning Abyss art. Nephilim is the darker Angeldown we see over here. And the last one we have here with us right now is the Angeldown Sealskin, right? And this is the D-made art. It's kind of like the lighter grayish one. And this one has UV ink, so I can give a little bit of shine. You guys see it? I don't know, maybe. And there's one more Angeldown, which is Celestian. I had it, don't have it anymore, but I'll touch on it a little bit as well. Alright, so we're gonna get started with Atlantean, since this seems to be the favorite one. Alright, so Angeldown in general, the surface is very soft. And it's a thin mat. You can tell it's thin because you can feel the surface underneath it, but it's very soft. And it moves cards fairly well, I would say. So pretty smooth. And Angeldown is one of the materials that has pile. So this, as you can see, there's no pile horizontally, but if I go that way, you can see the pile. See that? So if I do this, you won't move the mat too much, but if you do this, you're gonna move the mat. All right? And this isn't one player halves, and this we're gonna go to one player thirds, which I would say plays pretty much the same as one player halves. Now, Angeldown has the problem of being a little bit too thin, that if you put it into 2-player, you can really feel the surface, and what happens is you can see it. I'm barely putting any pressure and it's moving, so you can tell if I'm gonna put cards over it, it's gonna, see, we got a little shift and I can't really put the pressure to slide cards appropriately. So not the best 2-player mat if you have a solid, slippery surface, right? If you have something rubber underneath, of course it's gonna be much better. In terms of inking for Angeldown, you can see this is metallic ink right here, and I'm rolling it. Honestly, for a matte with pile, I would say that Angeldown inking is very good. It doesn't catch this. See, it doesn't really catch. Can you feel the ink? It's another question. So over here, 0 ink, obviously very smooth. If you're gonna go to an area with only ink, of course you're gonna feel it. But if you're gonna go into an area with some line art, I would say that you don't feel it. And even when you feel it, it's still smooth on this side. Okay. So if I were to go back to the halves, so I can show you the difference between sliding cards over this non-ink area versus sliding cards over the ink area. You can tell it honestly doesn't really matter. You're playing on it anyways. Now, since Angeldown is so thin, it doesn't make it a good 2-player mat, and the other reason is the backing. This backing is kind of like a, I don't know, like a cobblestone backing, thin cobblestone backing, and it's slippery, right? So you'll see later when one of our mats has a different pile direction that this matters, okay? So that is for Atlantean. We're gonna go to the next one. We're gonna go over to Seraphim, right? Yeah, so this is the Seraphim Angeldown. I'm just gonna start by spreading the cards. It's smooth the same way, but see, as you can tell, I'm pushing this way, I automatically feel it. This one has horizontal pile. So I can show you guys that you do this, you can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but you can see that that's horizontal pile. So if I do this, you can tell I'm barely putting any pressure and I'm moving it. But if I go up and down, doesn't move, but this way, easily move towards the pile, right? So to debunk the theory that pile doesn't really matter. I would argue that it definitely matters depending on the mat, and Angeldown is one of those mats that it absolutely matters. It changes it from playable to non-playable. So Angeldown already has a problem being played in two-player mode. So if you put this mat into two-player mode, it really becomes like actually unplayable. See, like I'm like not even barely touching it, and it's you know, you can really feel that pile. And look at this, you can see very scuffy. But unfortunately, this mat is also one of the nicer Angeldowns too, because the inking is line art, so you can't even feel it. So it looks really nice, and the inking on this, just like the Atlantean, I would argue that this ink is actually nicer than the Atlantean because it's line art. So you can't even, it doesn't even crack. Okay, so this metallic ink on this, metallic line art on Angeldown doesn't even crack. Same backing. So that's this one. So between the Atlantean and this one, we can tell that pile definitely matters. Okay, I'm gonna go over to the next one now. This is Nephilim. Yeah, Nephilim. So just to come off pile, does it matter? So this one, you can tell that this one is not horizontal pile. It is going to be, see, you can already tell, like barely touching it is shifting the mat. And then the surface underneath, the smooth surface, if you put a lot of pressure, you can shake it so that the mats can't even stay overlay. But nobody plays like that anyways. So I'm just gonna spread on this one. This is what, Nephilim? Yeah, Nephilim. Okay, so honestly the same smoothness, same thickness as the rest of the other colors. This ink right here is not metallic, so if you look closely without me even bending anything, you can see that already you can notice some cracking. But I think the idea of cracking is like overrated, because cracking doesn't mean it's gonna flake off. Because there are some mats that have ink that cracks and it flakes off. I don't think the inking on Angeldown will flake off, personally. So even with the cracking, you can hear it a little bit right here, but it's not gonna flake off. So it's, of course there's gonna be cracking if you're painting right over something that has like pile, right? So this is Nephilim, and I want to highlight that since you were able to pretty much hear this ink versus the ink on this side over here, metallic ink, you can't really feel this, but this one you can feel more for sure. So metallic ink is definitely the more premium ink. So I'm gonna put this one to the side. And now we're gonna talk about the last Angeldown here. This is the one with the UV. And as I said before, line art, I wouldn't say that you can really feel it on Angeldown. So the UV is line art, and you can't really feel it. So it's really just for aesthetic. I don't think it affects the play at all. And you can tell when I'm doing this that this one is gonna be vertical pile. See, you can already tell, and it's shifting the mat. So like the rest of these, it still feels thin. They all feel thin equally, I would say. They all have the same backing. And then this one has metallic inking, it's very full inking, and you can feel it kind of like the construct mat, and as you can tell, even when I'm bending it, it doesn't really crack as much. Therefore, still supporting that metallic ink is much better than whatever the regular ink is. So to answer the question though, out of all these Angeldowns, which color is the best? Which color is the best? And I would have to tell you guys that I do not think color matters. I really don't. Even when I had Celestian, the newer Angeldown, they all felt the same. Color does not matter, but for Angeldown, if you're interested in buying Angeldown, that means you love a thin mat, you love a very low pile and soft surface mat. Choose whichever color you guys like, because I don't think it matters at all. I think it matters on the roll. What you really have to watch out for though is pile direction. So out of these four mats right here, these three have horizontal pile, vertical pile. So it makes it much better to play on because the cards won't move the mat. But this one has horizontal pile and it almost makes it unplayable. So I would say that's kind of all you need to know about Angeldown. Peace, subscribe, and like.